So it's all mentality. Again, good morning, good evening, good day, everybody. Again, thanks Misha, Jose, Aviva, Natalie, thank the space. And I know that we're going through some trying times right now, but it's all mentality. You could have either parochial mentality or a healthy mentality. And the parochial mentality gets us into a lot of trouble. So a mentality, a good mentality, anything that you do, and your attitude, your enthusiasm to do something, and if the racism is the beginning of mentality, how fucked up you are. Because then there's racism within the race. You have minority whites, minority blacks, minority Indians, and then you get that caste system that we all create because it's all who's got this and who's got that and who's got this and who's got nothing and who's got a pot to piss in. So, well, it's usually the one that who hasn't got a pot pissing has got that bartan, that shakti. But the shakti that we all have is just that mentality. So if you don't even have to mention the word shakti, just talk. So the tongue is like one of the most sacred instruments the Creator put on earth. So every time you go to a doctor, he looks down with a stick. Before you can say anything, he's writing your prescription. Because the tongue tells a lot about your health, So it's not so much of what goes in the mouth as what comes out. So if your mind can really control the muscles in the tongue, only sweet things are going to come out. And sound is to amplify what we've been balling up. Why is because we cannot handle the vibration. So we have to say something. So before we would dance and our feet would hit the ground, that was the percussions. And then we would dance, and then the leaves, the wind, the bird, the crickets, the birds, the song, the wind, the sunlight, the moonlight, But then we lost that ability to hear. We don't hear our heart anymore. That's why we yell at each other. Hey, dog, come here. Hey, you're no good, you bitch. You fungu, all that stuff, It's mentality. Because we are not cultured. We're very uncultured people. I hate to say that. And I grew up in a culture, and I thought that was a culture. And then I realized, anything goes, anything happens. But then I started to realize, no, it's not so. So what we're going to do is, we could sing some songs, and you could point the camera at them girls over there. They're looking all sulky. Let's go. to sing a song?
Yeah, yeah, I do. It's a 2,000-year-old Jewish holiday today called Lag BaOmer, and it's a celebration of the end of a plague, an epidemic that was going on, and the epidemic was caused by hate, basically. And so, but hate takes many different forms, and it was taking the form of, no, I know what you need to do in order for you to do this law more correctly. You know, no one knows what another person should do. So the song goes like this.
This music.
You play a flute? They say, you know, keep coming. Good. Oh. So I just want to say, you know, that, so, you know, the sings are clownish too. We're very clownish. You know, and I learned that from a child growing up. So my mom was paraplegic, and with one hand, like, she raised 8 of us, and then we had about 20 more. And I remember her bearing her chafe, bearing her crosses. And my dad, he bore his crosses. He was a good artist, musician, singer, flutist, good at math, and like, you name it, he was like a genius. But he had an addiction, and the addiction was alcohol. And he couldn't control it. He had this rage, and that's racism. How sometimes we discriminate against ourselves. So, or we try to be like somebody else, and it's hard to be yourself. So I tell new people that are coming in, just keep coming, because there's a lot to be learned, whether it's a week, whether it's a year, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, a lifetime. Because 10, 15 years don't mean anything compared to people who got 30, 40 years, or who even born and raised this way. But it's not just the way, it's how they lived, how people lived, and how we lived. I never saw a dime pass hands, always smiling, never anger, but even though it was there, but then these people knew how to be diplomacy, When as a kid, I grew up too with all that insight of resentment too, and that's what education and how people educated us to look at this picture and this view as negative. So don't do that. Keep coming, and then you're gonna learn. You learn to sing, you learn to chant, you learn to play guitar. A lot of people come through here never sang on their whole life, never played an instrument in their whole life. And the best place to sing is in the bathroom, taking a shower. So you do that every day for 90 days, guarantee you'll be a champion singer. Or you take a pebble and put it in your tongue. So that's how you get rid of racism, because then you start learning the art, the songs, the paintings, the clothes people wear, the history right there. So a lot of times, a person cannot explain anything in the book. You have all these people writing things about the plant medicine, about the people in these ways, but it all comes down to one thing, the Shakti, the sound and the vibration. And sometimes it comes on us. We want to pray for it to come on you. But it doesn't matter who it comes on, but then it's so strong. So it's building that stamina and endurance up there. You can really take that Shakti. Because if that Shakti really comes in you, it can burn you up into pieces. So that's how powerful it is. But so you go up, you hear how people express how powerful they are, but not how powerful this is. So this is serious business. But you can take it as far as you want to go. I mean, look at those movie stars and those musicians that are famous. It's not an accident or not magic or nothing like that. It's like a gift. It's the Shakti right there. And that glow, that light, that brilliantness and light you see in the blink of an eye, you can see the whole universe. So just as fast as you can blink and you can see, you can blink it out too. So we have this computer, so you use the computer to blink it out. So every once in a while you take the chassis out, the main board, you put in, we map it if you reprogram it, the first one, then it's gonna keep sneaking in. So you gotta starve the virus. Starve the virus. Don't give it no energy. Don't give it any food to eat. But if you keep it locked up, it's gonna get hungry. So when you raise that jail cell doors, and you gonna come and eat more. Because you gotta really, really starve it to death. So you gotta have that discipline and attitude to stay put. Maybe something else happening, we don't know. But the safest place to be right now is in your house. You know, because it's giving you that opportunity to observe the decay in your mind and body. And then studying these wheels of the cart, you know, the balance. So even when they say, if you want to learn to play, if you're right-handed, use your left hand. If you're left-handed, use your right hand. So you build up that balance. So then you can play with both hands. So you got that mind and that balance that you want when you walk. But it's only temporary. So if you make, it's not trendy, it's not like some people go, I know some people went to the dojo or the chanting, Buddhist chants for a year, 2 years, and then never came back, but it's stuck in them. Because they had that dedication for that 2 years. So whether you did it for 1 day, 1 week, 1 year, 2 years, learning and learning well. Because you got nothing to lose. Sooner or later it's gonna come back, oh man, I remember I learned that, I'm glad I learned it. So the teaching starts at home though. With your mom, your dad, your brother, your sisters, your roommates. How you consideration of what's around you, and what's around these ways is a lot of love and compassion. And if you stick with that part of it, it's going to be beautiful. But then you have to have that balance and have that boundary and say, well, look, that's it. You have to learn to say no. So these ways are like, sometimes I get baffled myself and I realize how much I really don't know. I'm still learning. So sometimes if you chant, you drink a little bit, and then you start to regurgitate, it's cleaning you out. So sometimes you get it well, but you don't know, maybe it's not for you, it's for somebody else. You get well. So you want to develop that ability where you get well. But you yourself have to be well. You have to take care of yourself, because you're no good to me if you're not well. It's how well you get. It's not how many times you got well. It's how well did you get the first time. Because if you keep going back to get well for the same thing over and over, then the creator's going to say, shit, come to me with something new. Well, don't come to me for something else because you haven't even started with the first prayer. So you get up, you creep, you crawl, you stand up, you take a step, another step. So sometimes we try to jump all these stairs and we come crashing down and we get and we then still don't learn. We make it up 3 or 4 stairs and then we start to skip. So then there's a lot of teachings you miss on those stairs. A little bit at a time. If it's too much, then you can't learn anything. So you have to give the first lesson a chance to breathe. So you can really understand it to go on to the second lesson. And that first lesson is just have to shut the fuck up and listen. And that's my problem, I don't listen. And the reason why I don't listen is the reason why I'm here right now. Is because I never listened. And I still don't want to listen. But somehow I do have to listen. I have to listen to myself. So how am I gonna make allowances for other things, other people, considerations too. It's not just mine. So
Oh.
good picture?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So sing a song. Hello everybody, Misha, Jose, and Natalie up in the balcony. Hello, on the right in the balcony there, over there. Hello, hello, hello. What's the matter? You thought you could get some Indian guy with some tat on his shoulder, talking like that and shaking his head. What are you talking about? I just wanted to talk strictly about racism. And the reason why is becoming very offensive. And so I want to talk about Hindu, native, and indigenous cultures. So I grew up, born and raised a Hindu, and I'm a Hindu today. And racism I saw and encountered in these ways, these different ways: Hinduism, North American, indigenous. And then I look at where I am in the middle. I'm East Indian, I'm West Indian, I'm North Indian, and I'm South Indian. So I don't want to talk, I just want to talk. I don't want to mention anybody's names because I don't want to offend not them, but I don't want to offend their loved ones. Because in all of us, we are good people, and we just have those character defects that some could be unforgivable to one, but it could be unforgivable to yourself. And that is so I tell people to just chant, don't fix what you can't fix. So growing up in an apartheid nation on earth, the biggest apartheid nation governed by the British. So my ancestors were indentured laborers, and we settled in different parts of the West Indies, and my grandfather jumped boat in Calcutta, India, in the 18th century because he had shot this English colonel. And my brother said that they did the research and there's still a warrant out for his arrest. So growing up that way, I know what racism is all about. I know all about divide and rule. I know all about divide and rule. So I have a lot of reason to hate the black man and the white man. So growing up in a strict, orthodox but not quite orthodox way, I can't be rebellious because the discipline was mandatory, and I was like, wow, 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 wow. And because of my rebellion, I punished for 20 something years until I realized that no, because you can come into my house and insult me. So I'm not responsible for what happened to my ancestors years ago with the white man and the English man and the Indian man. So the British brought this caste system to India, the Brahmins, and they created this Brahminical society. And then they had everything from Chatri to Chamar to Topaz to Lungere. And I was like, wow. And then you see, you have the battle between the blacks and the Indians. And that was brutal. And then you're coming here and you get a culture shock. Because the way you know what respect and honor and beauty is, then you come here and it's confusing because you start seeing the things that people do, when you start opening up and you just become like them. So you can't judge me if you are living with a woman from my tribe. Or you can be angry because you see when we grew up, our cousins was educated about their relatives through what their parents would say, and then it would go into animosity, and then cousins have this feud, and they grow up with it. And then they all get separated, and then the memory starts to come back. So with the indigenous and the native people, is that they look to see what we're doing and they're complaining, but then I'm like saying, well, you're too harsh and insulting to me. I'm not crying wolf. I've been through the mill, but for this native way. And I supported this native way. I was one of the original pioneers in these ways. And then you have all these people who say my ancestral way. But they just bump into this way. They didn't know anything at all. And they still don't. And that's honor and respect. Because a smart commander would say, so if you come over to my head, jump the chain of command and come to me and say, well, I want to do this and I want to do that. A smart commander will say, well, go ahead and go through the chain of command. So I don't want it, and it doesn't want me. So, one time I was doing a meeting, and then this one guy came, and he said that these two guys went to some place there, and the chief told him that myself and this other fellow are drug dealers, and I'm like, ooh. And I confronted one of the participants, and I said, well, did they confirm it? And they say, yeah. He said, yeah, but I said, well, what did you say? You know us. He said, well, we had this rift with my tribe and your tribe, and so you see, you gotta cut that baggage. Let that baggage go. It's holding you back. It's holding your anger away. You're angry. You're angry at yourself. You come from an angry place. So that's why you would hate something. You would hate exactly what you like, because 99% of the support and the help is from non-native and indigenous people. Like one fellow said, they use my family's name. to validate themselves. Well, I can count on my fingers. In the time I've been doing this, it was all native and indigenous people that dropped a name to validate who they are. So, but never a non-native or indigenous person. So it's like then one guy comes, two guys come that, oh man, it looks like this far, but maybe it's his thing. Well, so what if it's my thing? You can't give me what's not yours. Like not doing me a favor. So maybe understand that you're not doing yourself a favor. This is not a trend. This whole native indigenous ceremony, ceremonial life became trendy, jet-setty. And everybody wanted to do this. They wanted to do their own thing. Wanted to do their own thing. One guy say, "When to dance," and he start dancing, and then the guy said, the chief told him, "Well, that's okay, but that's not okay because if you dance another way, you're doing something else. So do your own thing. Do your original thing. But build your foundation first before you can do anything that you want to do." But so lingo, how we talk to each other is very offensive. And even if you don't talk, I can read you like a book. God is everywhere. So the guru means teacher, the remover of darkness and creator of light. Why Guru? Because it always starts Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Para Saksha, Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guru Namo Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Dev Maheshwara, Para Saksha, Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guru Namo Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Dev Maheshwara, Para Saksha, Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru, so it's Guru, teacher. So that's why I try to tell people, you're not my student and I'm not your teacher. Because one, I don't know what you want to learn, and if I don't know what you want to learn, I can't teach you because then I don't know it. So it's about dancing your prayer. All this, I'm not a church boy. You have to understand, I'm not a church boy. I'm not going to get down on my knees and pray. I'm not going to sign anything. It's like asking permission to pray to God. And I'm tired. and you can't take me out because you can't kill a dead man. So I want to say it that way, you know. So I learned a lot from this medicine. It took me halfway around the world. And I met a lot of beautiful people. And there were a lot of people I commend and give them a lot of credit. I have a lot of abilities. But one thing that they lack in my eyes is respect, honor, devotion. You know, you can't tell me not to smoke weed. And then I come as a guest to you, and then the first thing you run in the morning and the evening is to put some weed. And then there's all these slipped in beer bottles all over the place. The place is filthy. You know, you insult me and where I'm from, you know. But hey, the bottom line is that it's like how you should be proud of it, proud of yourself, proud of what I'm doing for what I was not asked to do. Because it's the pajou has evolved and is evolving, and it has to evolve with the flexibility of the light, because it's so easy to see the light in the dark, but you want to see the light in the light. So that's how you walk, and that's how you think. So it's letting all that baggage go. You know, shit it out. I tell people to pray. Some people say, why? I say, just pray. Some people say, how? Just pray. Some people say, I don't like to pray. Well, I don't like to pray either. But when I pray, I take a shit on prayer. Even if I could do that. And I look at the Creator and I say, Creator, look how pitiful I am. Have mercy and compassion on me. And boy, come out of there, it's like the whole world just evaporated. But that's fine to reach that nirvanic state. But then you start inviting misery back in your life again, you know. So, you know how they say, you know, you thought some guy with a black turban on and a red sindoor and some nice beads and a white coat and all these beads and all holy. I'm not holy, man. Neither am I a healer, neither am I a roadman or a shaman or a psychic dealer or a madman. But just one of those I aspire to be. And I saw this movie one time, the Avatar, and this American Marine they had some way of changing him, shape changer into this native indigenous person, and somehow they accepted him in the clan. But then he revealed to them, you know, who he was, and then things turned, the tables turned. And he fell in love with the indigenous ways, and he believed that how they were destroying this place in Hawaii through bombing and stuff like that. And then he turned the tables, and then they cast him out from this tribe, and they found out who he was. And he desperately wanted to get back in because he saw the horror that was going on with the Marines. And he was flying this bird in the sky, and he looked down and he saw this bird flying that was supposed to be the baddest cat in the sky. And he jumped on that bird and connected immediately, instantaneously. And he was able to ride that bird in with the stride, and they were like horrified because there's this big baddest cat in the sky. But when he appeared and he jumped down and he started walking towards them, they were like, ooh. And then they realized, well, he is the real thing. So you are the real thing. I believe you are the real thing. And if you are confident that you are the real thing, you don't have to play ball, be direct. You techniques. So, and nothing is achieved without the technique. So it requires some sort of a form of a discipline, and you have to understand where you stand with the discipline, and you need the discipline. And simple things are big things. If you dismiss things so fast, too quickly. So how nitty-gritty that you want to get with yourself. So, when I was a kid, they would comb my hair because I would have these license, right? And then they would use this coconut oil in my hair, and then they would soften the scalp. So sometimes we dry ourselves out because you drink everything else with a glass of water. Well, what I want to say is that, we, so, I met this fella about these ceremonies, and he was a good fellow, you know, and like I said, I wouldn't mention names because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Is that this Billy Gannon here, me, my brother, my sister, we were the first to be there and the last to leave. And when you come to my house, I'll give you the best to eat. And I'll eat the scraps or the leftovers, and I'll sleep on the floor to make sure you have a bed to sleep on. And then in the morning, I might even be able to give you passage to go back home, which I've already done many times. And I don't have a lot of cash, but the little that I do, if I offer even 1 penny, you should accept it with gratitude, because it didn't fall out of the sky, So what I expect you too, because they say 1 that you build down. So 1 penny, 2 pennies, 3 pennies, it starts to add up. With 5 people come in terms of 11 people to sponsor, it doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather give you that, So, and then, like, I wouldn't, even if I'm invited somewhere, I wouldn't jump on the invitation and set an invitation date. I would first talk about it. And then sometimes it's not the right time. So it's all about timing too, But if I offer you bones, then that's all I have is bones. So it is not anorexic, So this medicine ways, these people way, it is not anorexic. This is about flourishing, and they say she looked like sugar plum, meaning is like when we look at a woman, it's like sugar plum, and the look at the man is like sugar cane. So is the salt and the pepper, and we don't have that because we all caught up with this anger. But this one is out to get me, and this one is out to get me, and the colors. It is difficult to express yourself on the N word. But then everywhere you go is the same bullshit. Everywhere you go, you can't escape it. So you gotta live with it, work with it. So the advantage is I had a chance of growing up in Hindu temples and mosques, and I went to this Catholic school. And boy, they try to confuse us and try to convert us. But we learned well Catholicism and Latin, and we went to the sacred church. And in a lot of ways, I am a little bit a Christian with the consciousness side. I used to say I'm not a Christ lover, But I wouldn't say that anymore. Because that's one consciousness. But then you have the Islamic consciousness, and you have the Christian consciousness, Buddhist consciousness, you have the Hindu consciousness. So all I ask is your consciousness of not who you believe in, but God. There's only one God. Why are you going to punish me if I don't believe in one way? Come on. There's only one God. And the message is God. So even if you don't chant, or even if you don't sing, or if you don't eat medicine, you go to the sun and you show dar, rice, or beans, or split peas, or pour water. So one Indian man from Chaco Canyon told me to stay steady, have faith. So we all have to have this faith. We think we have this faith. But do we really have the stamina and endurance to go through all this turbulence? And the only reason we can't do it is because there's this one string, and people are putting stress on this string, and the string can't move because you got all this, like electric, all these wavelengths going. But if you stay focused, you can achieve tremendous things, and that can create a laziness. But the whole idea is that you create this vigorous spirit. You're excited to do this, excited to do that. So it's all about your attitude and enthusiasm. So if you have an attitude and enthusiasm because of my accent and my beard, and I used to be a salesman, and when I go to clients, I would see it in their eyes. Like, I would go with my hat on backward, I would go with a shirt and tie, blue jeans and the sneakers. And that was rebellious, but I sold because they believed me. You can trust somebody, but do you believe them? And the belief is that, well, the question was this, if your people don't show up to work, who will? I said, I will. And I proved it. And time I would show up and work as a regular employee. And then I realized what it is to be an employee and an employer. So there's a way that, you don't try to buy your way in, because when you buy your way in, you get all tripped and down, you got stuck because you cannot move. Because if you burn this bridge, you can't go back. You burn that bridge, you can't go back. You burn the bridge behind you, you can't go back. You burn the bridge in front of you. So you'll get all boxed in with these burned bridges. So you don't have the confidence to go on another bridge and prove that you didn't really burn those bridges. So I don't believe that the extinction of racism will go away for a long time, but it can start. And the only way it can start is your attitude towards each other. So I don't have to help you. I'm not obligated to help you. And I'm not going to help you. Because then who's going to help me? Nobody's helping me. You talk shit, but come and say, well, let's see what we can do. Get out of the medicine way. And it's going to help you. But if you're like that, it's not going to help you because you're wicked. You cannot be wicked and do this work. If you're my friend, if you're my relative, if I'm your uncle, or whatever you want to say about me, then why are you offering me scraps. And then you demand even more. But I give it to you anyway. Because I don't know it, it doesn't know me. You know, and a lot of times, you know, it is being paid for. It don't cost me anything. Why it came my way, I don't know. There's a reason. But there's a reason for a good lesson, not a lesson learned. Because we don't learn from the lesson. We just got a lesson. And we try to pass the lesson, but we don't learn anything. Well, the only way to learn something is to take a licking. And I ain't gonna get licked anymore. I've been licked enough. I just wanted to say one more thing. You're never gonna hear me say anything again. Is God bless you all. Is God bless you all. And there's not really gonna be a path unless you get rid of the animosity, because you're giving it away and you're complaining why non-native people are doing this and doing that. So then if you don't want them to do it, don't have them as a guest, and don't supply them with ingredients, because by nature of the Hindu man, we don't need anything to invoke the spirit of the Divine Mother. You know, one problem there too is, so I grew up in this Hindu society where they always talk about their power, how powerful they are, and I'm like, ooh. So God is not going to let anything happen to you or give you that power to do something devious against somebody just like that spiritually. But then there are bullies, and we encourage being bullied because we don't fight back. I'm tired of fighting. I'm not fighting anymore. What are you fighting for? And the reason why we're fighting is because we can't stay behind ourselves. We're trying to get ahead too fast. Well, they say step faster, but they don't mean step that fast. Because if you step that fast, you might stumble. And you get hurt more from being stumbled than being hit. So it's a defense in the mechanism of the Creator. You wait, I'll wait. You move, I'll move. You attack, I attack. So it's a no win-win-win situation. Because if you don't lose, you don't learn anything. If you keep winning, then you get beside yourself. Then your head gets bigger and bigger. You know, but like this one couple came from South America. You know, and I was the first guy I prayed with, and instantaneously became overnight shaman. You know, talking about that, they go up in the jungle and this and that, and I'm like, whoosh. And a friend of mine, Big Joe, showed them a vine, and they said, "What's that?" And I was like, "Woo." So I mean, if you go up in the jungle, you don't know what that is. Then it's like the Bible. There's so many flaws, spokes in the hole of your belief. But that's where you get into the trouble, when you start poking holes in your belief. If you believe in something, do it. But idleness devours your time. So always do something. Keep doing something. Meditate, pray. You clean, you sweep, Whatever you do, you pray. Japa. Repetition. So the more you do something over and over the same time, like the first time, so the last step must be like the first step. So if you do it the same way over and over and over and over, then you get it. But if you really want to get it, you got to do where you split blood. So they say it like that. You know, one guy said, you know, I don't know you sing these Taino songs, but one guy said he doesn't understand a thing that I say. I said, wow. So I say saban, saban, saban. And this guy, one Taino guy said, oh, I thought that was your own thing. That's your own language, maybe your accent, with the look on his face, telling me, oh, you know. And then this one fellow, the same fellow that told me, I gave him some funds one time. We went to the Navy Yard to try to get some saps to build this sweat lodge. And that didn't happen, so I gave him a couple, I can't remember exactly, 100 something, to get some material. And that guy never called me, never showed. I made it was community money. So somehow I replaced it, I don't know. Anyway, they built a sweat lodge, makeshift, with all the wood. And they came with this Colombian guy and this guy, they were joking and laughing, making a face. And I said, no, don't do that. You know, but it took me a while to register, you know why, and then, you know, all of a sudden they would want to use this sweat lodge again, and then said, oh, yeah, maybe you should go over your head, I remember Salvador took this shaman one time to Florida, Ramon, and this guy Hugo said, oh, I don't want to see this man back. That's what Salvador told me. He always said, Hugo said, oh, you gotta watch that guy Shiva, man, I don't trust him. So Salvador, he watched me for a couple of years and he didn't know what to watch for. Anyway, you know, so I went to Sundance one time, you know. So I've been to, like I said, a smart commander. If you go to the smart commander, if you're smart, you say go to the chain of command. So I did. So I wasn't expecting, I wasn't surprised when it didn't happen, you know, but I wanted to move a certain way. And it was denied. So, well, there was lack of respect and dignity and that. So to be a chief tells me a lot about you, how you behave, you know. And then, you know, yeah, there are all these shaman and roadmen coming into town, you know. And then they would try to shake you down. And then somebody would try to put the blame on them, and then they would respond to you and say, oh, I never communicated that with them. So yeah, but this water of life, you see. So because of the COVID and all that, it's kind of restricts with tobacco. So this one song, tu makare mamatu bakara boreya atamira bakara boreya atamira bakara boreya atamira bakara boreya atamira makare mamatu mamatu makare mamatu mamatu makare mamatu bakara boreya atamira bakara boreya atamira bakara boreya I just heard it from us in Germany one time, you know, and then a couple of years later I ran into these Puerto Rican guys, never heard of, but never knew if they were Taino, and I started singing those songs and they were like, man. So now they're all Tainos and they sing all these beautiful songs. And they're very proud of it, and you know their ancestral ways, but then this still doesn't mean it's their way, your way. But it's good to try, keep trying, but you cannot succeed by being a racist to anything. Because it's going to all flare up all these barriers. And then the more I don't trust you, the more I'm going to keep away from you. And the reason why I don't know how I love you guys is because of your attitude. Your something that you hear, man, comes out of your mouth. Man, the racist insults, the way you talk about people. The look that you have on your faces, you know, it's like, shh, come on, man, who you fooling? You're fooling yourself, not me. But I don't own anything, and it doesn't own me. And nobody helped me to be who I am. I stood on my own 2 feet, my hands and my feet and my mind, and I did something. That's why I was so dumb, because I'm dumb, because I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm dumb. So at some point though, you know, I'm a nice guy until you piss me off. And I ain't not pissed off yet. But you really don't want to see me mad, because I'm not mad. So don't sound mad. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm very joyful about everybody. So, but I concede. Me too. I have a lot of me too in my closets. Shake it a little bit, the rag's gonna fall off. But it takes 2 to tango. So that's what you can say about me, I can say about you too. But I won't do that, because that's not gentleman. Regal. You know what they call me Shiva's Regal. The Regal, the liquor. But Regal is to be regal, to respond in a negative way is not your way. Namah Shivaya, 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 Shivaya, Namah 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 Sila Maya Elohe, Tanpa Wakanta Maya Elohe, Sila Maya Elohe, Jananiwa Maya Kawelo, Sila Maya Elohe, Tanpa Wakanta Maya Elohe, Sila Maya Elohe, Jananiwa Maya Kawelo, Sila Tantaka Tukashila, Tantaka Tankashila, Sila Maya Elohe, Tanka Wakta Maya Elohe, Sila Maya Elohe, Isalaniwa Maya Kavelu, Sila Maya Elohe, Sila Maya Elohe, Tanka Wakta Maya Elohe, Sila Maya Elohe, Isalaniwa Maya Kavelu, Sila Maya Elohe, Sila Maya Elohe, Tanka Wakta Maya Elohe, Sila Maya Elohe, Isalaniwa Maya Kavelu, Sila Maya Elohe, Sila Maya Elohe. So I just want to say these ways are not a serious business. This is serious business. This is not something to play with. It's not something to take lightly. Because while you're praying, you have to be praying. So don't pray for this, or don't pray for that, or don't pray for this, or something. Because then it becomes something between you and the Creator. The Creator already knows what you need. So you pay attention to Saraswati, the goddess of book, the book of Sardam, the goddess of knowledge. And then you get Lakshmi jealous. Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and light and darkness and all that. It's just that you don't want to get cocky with her. You want to be straight. And sometimes we get a little and then the next thing is I don't have anything. So if you think like that, you're on safe grounds. Is when you don't stop thinking, so don't stop the mind, but stop, take a break. So one more thing I wanted to mention is one time I did a meeting and some people came and this one guy told this other guy, Shiva, that's these Jews walk all over him. I was like, all right, but then they still flock to the Jews. So why is that? I don't know. I don't even have an imagination, so I just pray. It's not my business. So I don't know why it's yours, but if you want, come pray with them, see what they're all about. And then you might be surprised that it's not just them, it's everybody. And they don't think on an individual basis or a tribal basis, even though they might be from a tribe. So even the Singhs are clannish. You're clannish, the Singhs, Shiva Singh. So when I was growing up, I had to be a little bad because they used to call me Shiva Singh Shit Spring and pop poop. Pop in my mouth. So I used to get into a lot of trouble. So I don't want to get into more trouble. So one guy told me, oh man, Shiva man, you got all these white people and these black people coming, they don't want no black people around. And I heard out their own mouth. You know, especially one guy was getting well, and the guy was saying, "Oh, nigger man, this it," you know, calling names, you know, racial names, you know. And I was like, wow, you know, if only you can hear yourself, you know, and see yourself, because you see the attitude in the face, you know. But well, at least, you know, I'm still here. You know, you guys are still here. You know, everybody thinks big numbers, 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 numbers. The more. It's not how many. It only takes two people to make something happen, or even one person, but mostly two people, and you get lost. Because we don't believe. We have faith, though. So the only way you can get believe is to learn. So if you have this attitude of the upper crust, then you might be fooled. I mean, like, you know, they're probably broker than you and me. So don't fool yourself. You know, you know, like even racism in the relationships, how indigenous, native, black men would go with white women, and white men would go with their women, and then their women don't want anything to do with them. And then I'm thinking, ooh, you know, and some is love and some is crap, because they say in the Bhagavad Gita, if you want to annihilate a race, mix it. And there's a reason for it, because we all mixed up as it is. But if you keep mixing it up, then you're gonna have nothing, because there's no origin. You know, every once in a while it manifests in one individual, but then we have all these little grains, strands that our grandfather, you know, they forgot, or grandma forgot to do something, and then jumps in you. And then you get taken by surprise, and you have this fear, something wrong with me. And because there might be something wrong with me, I'm gonna look at you to see if there's something wrong with you. So they say the more you watch, the less you see. Sometimes they say the hands are quicker than the eyes. It's true. Well, you follow it then. So don't try to catch a shadow. Don't try to catch women. Don't try to catch money. Don't try to catch a shadow. It took me a while to really understand what that meant. And you see all these cats, sometimes they in the mirror image, it's like seeing yourself, playing with yourself. So racism is so serious, but it's so trendy.